What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down Josh Allen's throwing mechanics from 2018 until now, 2021, okay? So we're going to be talking about the importance of a quarterback's front arm. We're going to talk about the importance of a front stride and how your base and how your front side mechanics tie into a lot of different things for your motion, okay? So I think this is going to give you guys a lot of value. He's going to talk about some of the things that Allen might have done wrong at his time as Wyoming, and even though he had such a big arm, such a huge arm, why he's such a better passer now, okay? And guys, if you're a quarterback and you want to get access to premium videos on how to read coverages, learn how to read defenses, videos just like this where I break it down step by step, but it's all on the IQ side of things, all the above the neck stuff that quarterbacks have to know. Check out that very first link in the description. It says learn how to read defenses. 200 plus videos plus 4 new videos every week, all based around reading defenses. Hope to get you guys on that soon. Let's get started. So first video here, we're going to be looking at this throw from Josh Allen. We're going to watch it full speed while his time at Wyoming. Long stride, and you see this is an absolute dart, right? But the thing is that you can get very good at a bad habit. There was a recent interview where Josh Allen talks about he could sling the ball, obviously, and he was talking about how when he got out of college and they told him, they're like, dude, all your mechanics are flawed, right? And they were telling him that, and it was kind of a shock. But you see how much success he's able to have now, and you're going to see the difference because we look at this type of a throw right here and we see how much he comes down, his leg comes out of the grass like he's a pitcher, and then we look at this clip here from when he's at Bills practice and he's much more grounded. He keeps that front arm nice and tight. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. We got 4 clips that we're going to take a look at. So this long stride, what that does is that your front side, like your motion is not going to change, right? You've done the same motion over and over and over again. You built that same muscle memory in your shoulder, rotator cuff, whatever. So really that stride is what kind of ties into your sequence. But when you have this long stride, your motion isn't going to do anything different. So reason he has this long stride is because his base gets narrow, right? He's sitting his butt down. He's got a good posture, everything, but his feet get super close together. Now he pushes so well off of this back leg, it makes him have this long stride. And when his front foot gets down, his front side's starting to come through. When your front side starts to come through while your front stride's getting down, so your front stride's down and your front elbow and your front shoulder is coming through, your shoulders get ahead of your hips. And the only way you could rotate through is by either swinging this front side around, which is going to cause your arm to fly outside of your frame because your body's split down a midline. So if you swing your shoulder open, your right arm is going to fly outside your frame and you're going to come across, or you swing down. And if you swing that elbow down, your release gets pushed a little bit high. So Allen, he probably had the problem of he would miss a little bit high and low because he kind of comes down like a pitcher. And you see when you swing that elbow down, you're bringing yourself outside of your frame. You're not being rotational from your hips, and your back leg kind of trails behind you, right? That's that big common thing that you see with a lot of long striders. You see people who have that real long stride, their shoulders get ahead of them, their back leg trails behind, and they bring it up like a pitcher, and they come down on the ball. You see how Allen's swinging across his frame. That's the thing that we want to try to avoid as a quarterback, right? We want to have that quick stride. We want my hips to go through, and you want your front shoulder to just kind of pull back to your chest, right? Obviously, still the dart. Obviously, a lot of arm strength on this thing. And people would be like, well, why would you change it? But the thing is you're going to see we're going to look at the very last clip. It's going to be like an off-platform throw. When you have flawed mechanics, you can't make those off-platform throws where you're not set, you're not comfortable. So what? You have a great arm, but can you be consistent, right? A lot of people, you can get real good at a bad habit. You can get real good at kicking your leg way up. You get real good at jumping and throwing almost, right? If you do it enough times. But is it going to be consistent? Is it going to be consistent at the next level, right? Obviously got a big arm, but his mechanics need to get cleaned up at this point. You see it's a very accurate shot, but now we look at this clip here, and I think everybody can agree he's a much better passer now when he was coming out, because that was the big critique at him when he was coming out of college. He's got a long stride, not accurate, right? But now we look at him now, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the best, right? That might be pushing a little bit, but top 5 easily, right? So now we look at when he throws this thing, you look at his front arm. He's not swinging that elbow down anymore. When he rotates through, it's more from his hips, and you see how he pulls that thing back to his chest. He's not coming down across his frame, and you see how his leg isn't kicking way up. His leg is staying connected to the grass. That's how you be a more connected thrower and a more hip thrower, and you have a more consistent release point because he's not swinging his elbow down. And the reason why he's not swinging his elbow down is because that front stride is down quick. You see how he's here? You can tell just based off of his base that his feet are a little bit wider. His base is a little bit wider, so that front stride gets down quicker, and you see how that front stride is in the grass as his shoulders are closed. That's the key right there, because that allows your hips to bring you through. If your front shoulder's coming open open as your front foot gets down, the only choice you have is to continue to swing down with your elbow because your sequencing is off, right? But if you could get your front foot down as your front shoulder stays closed, that allows your hips to rotate through, and that front hand can just almost pull back to your chest. Your release point is clean. You see how he's not coming down on the ball anymore? He's kind of finishing here. He's finishing with his shoulders level, hips level, flicking that wrist at the target, and you see how his back foot stays connected to the grass. That's such a mechanically sound throw by Allen, and you see how much of a different throw that is from when he was at Wyoming, right? He's not swinging the elbow down, leg ain't coming out of the grass. He's staying square, and he's a much more accurate passer on this thing, right? And you see the result with the ball. It's just a diamond. It's wherever that football, wherever you release that thing, okay? So that's a really good job. This is a really huge improvement from Allen. You can really see this, and that's why we're highlighting this video, because he has made so much changes to his motion, right? If you're a guy and you're a quarterback who has a real strong arm, but your mechanics are flawed, it's not going to be consistent at that next level, because you see how when he plays the game, it's almost Patrick Mahomes-like, where he has never got his feet set. He's always moving around. He's able to make any throw on the field, and it's almost like he's putting no effort into it, because that's hips. That's how you produce torque. You separate your shoulders and your upper half. So now we're going to be looking at this throw here from the Senior Bowl, and we're really going to be able to see the long stride. And again, it's not a bad throw. It's a dart, right? It's a great throw into tight coverage, but again, is it going to be consistent? And you see when he's in the pocket here, he's standing very tall, right? So we're going to be focusing more so on his base rather than his front arm, because the first clip we were talking about his front arm. Now we're going to focus on the lower half. And so you see how narrow he is with his feet right here, right? So when you decide to drive off of that back leg and push off of that back leg, you're going to cause that stride to be long. It's the same stride, but where do you start, right? You're here. Your stride's going to land in the same spot, but it's going to take longer, which is going to throw off your motion because your upper half isn't going to change. You widen your feet out a little bit, not too wide to where you're like on a real big surfboard or something like that. You're trying to do the splits, but just outside your shoulders, quick stride, and the motion stays the same, so the sequencing is better. But you see how because he gets this real long stride, and his front foot doesn't get down till right now, and what's coming through? His elbow's already coming through because of that front stride. His shoulders get ahead. You see how his elbow is ahead of his hip, and you see how the ball's ahead of his hip? You want to have the ball chasing your hip. You want to get to that position of zero. But when you swing down with that front side, because of the long stride, your shoulders get ahead of yourself, and guess what? That back leg's probably going to swing up in the air, and you see how it swings up. He's got all his weight on this left leg. He's got a real big lean out of the throw. It's just got to be able to get that front foot down a little quicker, hips through, and pulling that hand back to his chest. Let's rewind this thing real quick again. So long stride, swings that shoulder down, and he's ripping through. This is still a good ball, still a lot of velocity, but it's going to be consistent. Now we look at this throw with the Bills, and you want to see his base. Look at his base now in the pocket. Look how quick that front stride is, and look how just effortless that looks, right? And this is an off-platform throw. His feet aren't even set there, but again, when he's working in the pocket, look at how wide his base is, right? Feet are just outside your shoulders. It's the same stride, and he's got the same motion. It's not like he changed up his motion. It's just the whole process is happening faster, right? So you see how he's here. He's got a good base, nice strong base, gets that front foot down. Look how fast that front foot gets down. Front shoulders closed. He's in that opposite equal position. Now what can rip him through? It's his hips. His front foot is down correctly. His shoulders are separate from his hips. Now his hips can rotate that ball up, and you see how his hips rotate him through, and he's pulling that front elbow or that front hand back to his chest. He's finishing square. You see his release point's more consistent, and look here, the ball is chasing his hip. His hip is able to come through before his elbow, and that's what gives you torque on this throw. That's what allows you to throw with velocity, and that all ties into that front stride. So that's how important your front arm is, and that's how important that front stride is in your base, right? Because it's you want to be a hip thrower, not a shoulder thrower, and it all kind of ties into that sequencing. What's your sequence going to be like? Is your front foot going to get down as your shoulders go back, right? That's the goal, because you get your front foot down, shoulders stay back, your hips allow you to rotate through, and you can almost pull that front hand back to your chest. You don't need to rotate with your shoulders, right? But when you have that long stride and your shoulders are ahead of yourself, you have to come down on the ball almost like a pitcher, right? So it's all about timing of the foot strike, all about timing your motion. Your motion's not necessarily going to change, right? Because Allen didn't really change his motion. What changed was his foot strike got down faster, and what caused that was his base, and his front hand got a lot more discipline. Those are the keys to accuracy, fellas. That sequence, and those are the keys to having more velocity and being consistent. Every throw doesn't have to be as hard as you possibly can, right? It's all about being on time, being accurate, being able to give your guys shots downfield to make a play, and being able to extend the play. So that's how we do that. Mechanics, sequencing, widen your base, you get a quicker front stride, and that front hand should be almost a non-factor. Don't swing the elbow down. Hand stays tight to your body. Be a hip thrower, not a shoulder thrower, okay? So I hope this video gave you guys some value. I hope it kind of gave you some insight on why Allen has become such a successful passer, why he's such a talented quarterback. and the improvements he's made in his game. I hope this gave you value to your own game, okay? And guys, also, if you're a quarterback and you want to get better at reading coverages, check out that very first link in the description that says how to read defenses, 200 plus videos you guys can watch. If you guys have any questions at all, leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.